And welcome back if you are returning. If not, welcome. This is In Series, an Emery production, the podcast where I decide to nerd out for a handful of episodes and call it a series. This edition is Edinburgh. We're at the 2026 Edinburgh Festival Fringe, and we have seen quite a bit of shows. I believe I've been saying 3,700 productions throughout. It seems like a lot, but it is something like that. Every time I say that, someone says maybe more, but there's a lot to choose from. And so there's a lot of recommendations. There's a lot of buzz you can see, and there's a lot of signage that is promoting, like, everybody is saying great things about these shows. And so that kind of helps sort of narrow it down. But then that also creates a lot of sellouts, which makes some tickets hard to get. So today we are here with Alex Bechtel, local Philadelphian. We can claim you as one of ours, is also the creator of Penelope, this musical that is taking Edinburgh by storm. Alex, welcome.
Thank you so much for having me. Hi.
I know that we've spoken over the years. We haven't talked in a while on a podcast. So it's great to come all the way over the pond just to have a chat with you. We were talking about, there's just been growing buzz about Penelope, over the years in your development. You had an opportunity at Theater Horizon to kind of build it up, and then you've gone to New York with it and you toured it a bit, and now you're here at Edinburgh. How are you feeling? Are you overwhelmed? Are you tired? Are you joyful?
Yeah, all of those things. I'm feeling very tired. This is my first time ever being in the Edinburgh Fringe. First time ever even being at Edinburgh. And I had heard about it over the years, but nothing really prepares you for how alive the city is, which on one level is so inspiring, right? Because especially coming from the States and where we're all just like really trying to have audiences come back to the theater in the way that they used to be in a city whose population triples in the month of August because people are here to see live performance. It's amazing, but it's also very overwhelming. And just putting any show up in the Fringe is wild because the theater you're performing in is not your theater.
Yeah.
6 other shows perform there every day. So you have 10 minutes before your show and 10 minutes after your show to put it up and put it down. And it's just a huge energetic lift. And it's great to do it with Penelope because it's something that is so close to my heart. It's such a personal piece and probably the show I've worked hardest on in my life. But that also means that I am like very plugged in on a personal, emotional level every day. So exhausting, but it's been going really well. So also, I'm feeling,
Yeah. As you were saying that, I was thinking about a time that we passed you. It was somewhere at a coffee shop in South Philly, and we just passed. And I think you were working on this at the time.
Yeah. I think that was during the pandemic. Yeah. It was like when the things were just starting to like open up. And that was, I started working on the show in 2020 because at the time I was dating someone and we were in a long distance relationship. So we were quarantining in separate cities. So I was there in South Philly. I still lived in Philadelphia at the time. And I was writing these songs from the point of view of Penelope from the Odyssey. And so, there was just a bunch of, but those first 2 years of COVID, this was like really the thing I was working on. Yeah.
Yeah. So what made you think about Penelope's side, originally, like where did the inspiration come from?
Yeah, this is the thing that I've talked about quite often, which is a little mysterious to me. I don't know. I have a voice memo on my phone that has a very specific date that I can point to that I was like, that is the first piece of music I wrote that was Penelope music. And it's the title song. And it was just, I was at my piano so much during lockdown, writing and playing and doing the things. And then it really just emerged really organically that the song I was writing, the melody landed on the name Penelope. And then I realized I was writing it about Penelope from the Odyssey. And then I sort of realized that was sort of the way I was feeling about this person that I loved. And also this thing that I loved, which was theater. Like I didn't know if it was ever going to come back. Didn't know how it was going to come back. So I feel really lucky that little metaphor for how I was feeling showed up in my brain. I love Greek mythology, but it was never anything that I thought I would do anything with as a theater artist. I never, had you asked me in January of 2020 if I would ever make a musical adaptation of the Odyssey, I'd probably be like, no, that doesn't really interest me. I think, and this is something I talked about the first time we did this show in production, which was at Hudson Valley Shakespeare Festival. The thing I love about Shakespeare festivals and classic theaters producing Penelope is like classic theaters talk a lot about how relevant the classics will always be because they continue to speak to our emotional experience. And that I lived that very, very strongly. Like I was going through a very large human emotional experience and I like reached out for a metaphor to help me understand what that was. And this character from the Odyssey was well within reach. So it was, yeah, not, I think that's the reason why the show feels so emotional and personal and not very academic or not very, it doesn't feel like it's something that someone thought was a good idea. It just feels like a thing that came from the heart because it really was. It was a thing that I sort of needed to make. Yeah.
Yeah, that's like a great way for people to walk into this, to think about, have you ever been in a long distance relationship? Have you ever been in one that lasted for 20 years? But you can think about that even in a temporary sense, because you just sort of, for like a colonial term, you sort of like burn for your partner. Like, and it's only like a few days apart if you're used to being so close to each other. And then in that time to say, I've got a calling and I've got to go do this. And will you wait for me? An undetermined amount of time. It's just, okay. And then, everybody knows this. So there's kind of like this mark on you that you are waiting for your husband to return. And if you stray in any way, like, what does that say about your honor to your husband?
I mean, the thing that's so interesting about the character in terms of how her character is usually described in mythology and the way that people have talked about her for over the ages is that it really is defined by that faithfulness, right? But one of the things that I found so interesting, and that my co-book writers, Eva Steinmetz and Grace McLean, who are also the director and star of the show respectively, found so interesting is like, I think a lot, I don't think a lot, but I think it's interesting when people are like, when people reach a certain point in their marriages in older age where they're like, I've now been with my spouse for longer than I was alive without them. And I've always found that so interesting and endearing and complicated. But the thing about Penelope that's interesting is she's been without him with him longer than she was with him and longer than she was without him.
Yeah.
If you look at the classic timeline, she was probably 15, maybe 20 when they married. And then they were married for probably only a year or two, and then he left and was gone for 20 years. So she was married to the idea of him longer than she was ever married to him and longer than she was ever alive before marrying him. And that creates this really fascinating sort of like emotional Ouroboros of like, what does that mean? How am I defining myself? How am I actually defining my love for this person? Like, does my love for this person define me? And fun thing has been in exploring sides of the character that obviously the source material doesn't give us, but that also reflect this thing of like, I don't know, I've gone through many kind of hard times in my life, but I was never only sad. And I was never only upset. And I was never only one thing. Like you're always everything. You're a human being. So like she can't only be faithful and like and longing for him. She's probably also really angry. She's probably also like having a great time sometimes. She's probably also like, has desire and has, resentment and has all of the things. And the fascinating thing that we chose was to be like, and then how do we return back to the like given reality of the source material, which is like with all of that information, with all of that good, bad, ugly, everything, she still loves him and loves them. Like the last song is called Us. And the line that it lands on is like, I didn't wait for you, I waited for us.
Yeah.
Because I believe in what we are together.
I was thinking at some part of the show where it's like, I can imagine a diary entry saying like, I didn't think about him at all today. Had a wonderful day. And it's like, you're building a whole life without your partner, but also holding space for the life you set out to live with your partner.
Yeah.
And you're probably thinking every day, like, what is it going to look like if it picks up tomorrow?
Yeah.
What it look like if it picks up next year, and this is part of your sort of process as well. And then you've got all these suitors out in your,
right.
court. Was it the courtyard? Right?
Yeah. In the atrium, courtyard,
just hanging out. Hey, change your mind yet?
Yeah, exactly.
Also seeing the worst of them in this moment. I don't know how this is like the greatest, you know what? You, come here. Not you. The other one.
That's something I think the movie gets really right. I think Robert Pattinson is delightfully disgusting as that suitor.
We have not seen The
You haven't
Odyssey
seen the
yet.
movie? Yeah, okay.
It's totally okay because I know it's long and
It's
you
okay.
can say one
it
thing
makes
and
more
it's
than
like,
enough money without.
I know I really want to give them our money though. No, it's just we are living exciting lives,
Yeah.
but we can't wait to do that. But yes, with the movie, like, how is that being in the space, affecting the production?
Amazing. It was bizarre and eerie timing, right?
Mhm.
I've been working on this now for 6 years, right? We've done it a bunch before Christopher Nolan even ever started making that movie.
Hmm.
But then we recorded our cast album live at Joe's Pub last year, and when we were working with the record label, we set a date for its release because it made sense in our timeline. It turned out that that was July 17th, the day that Christopher Nolan's Odyssey
Wow.
was released in theater. And then our producers reached out to us about bringing this show to Edinburgh early this year in January, February. I think they did it because they knew the movie was coming out. It was just like kind of a bonus. But the thing that has been, so it's just kind of lovely serendipitous timing. And the thing that has been different is, audiences I feel are receiving the show with so much more familiarity. There are always people in the audience who knew their Greek mythology and would laugh at the jokes about the source material. But now it's like, it's the movie of the year. People really know these characters now, and they have opinions about them in ways that maybe they didn't a year ago or 2 years ago. And that it's just been so nice to meet them in the theater with that kind of common ground. And they also feel hungry to spend time with a different lens on the story. And that also feels really exciting.
Yeah. So you get here the excitement of Edinburgh. Talk about what it was like to get off the plane and to be here and realize, like, we're on in however many days you had before you.
2 days.
2 days.
I met the band the day before we teched. We teched in 4 hours and didn't finish teching. We barely started teching. And then we started having audiences, and our director was like live teching the show while we had audiences. And before we left, Dan Rothenberg from Figure and Theater Company said, get ready for the highest highs and the lowest lows of your life. And he was right on both counts, but there's just something about audiences here they're not here because, their wife said that they have to go do this thing after work one day. They are here to see performance.
Yeah.
And they're even here to see kind of new and weird performance. There's a bravery and an intensity of desire for the work that the audience has that is so inspiring. And so they're going to lift you up through whatever bumps and bruises there are. And also, like, most of the venues in this festival, they're not theaters, they become theaters for a month and a half of every year. So there's this kind of magic and like silly putty and crazy glue holding it all together. But the audiences really helped us in that craziness. I will never forget one day during a very quiet moment in our show, we could hear the theater next door really loudly because either they started late or we started late. Usually that loud thing was happening during one of our loud songs. But I felt these crowds really bring, whether you have 6 people in your crowd, in your audience or 106. It's really nice to see there's a willingness to go on a journey with a show that I have not experienced in a lot of other theaters.
And I think it's, we've been observing that as well. Like, a lot of these spaces are pipe and draped up, I was like, this could have been a conference room. This could have been a storage space. They just put some quick rigging up and made it a performance venue. Like, here we are at Underbelly Calgate. Yeah, and we're walking through, which it feels like a cave, with a series of caves, but you're walking into a space. The seating is very much designed to get as many people in.
Yeah.
And you see a show and you go. And it's like, I was thinking about this is essentially a presenting organization for the month. And when you think about another performing arts center, for example, like the aesthetic that they put on everything is kind of making you feel like this art is out of reach in a sense.
Yeah.
There's something about the grittiness of all of these venues that makes the art so accessible.
Yeah, I totally agree. And also, like, I've seen a bunch of shows here. I don't think I've paid more than like £17 for any of them, which, in the States is a very cheap.
Yeah.
And so the shows are very accessible as long as you like because some of them sell out quickly. So you have to kind of hunt them.
Yeah.
As long as you know what you're doing and you're really going for it, it feels very accessible.
Also pointed out the concessions, which isn't the snack bar. It is an allocation of affordability, allowing for students and seniors and whoever fits in this category of like, full price is out of reach for me, there's an option. Like, they're making so many opportunities, many efforts to get everyone in to experience this work, and it's all over the place.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what have been, because you do give some time at the end of the show to meet the audience, and what have been some of the responses there?
I think no one's going to come up to me and tell me that they hated the show. So
Yeah.
they've been very sweet. They've been very, very sweet. My favorite, I'm going to do a terrible Scottish accent. Are you ready? My favorite was this woman came up to me and she was like, "That's great. It's a wee bit feminist. It's a wee bit feminist." I was like, "Yeah, it's a little feminist." That was really sweet. But no, people have been very kind, and it's been really lovely to see just meeting people from all over the world, because they're just such international audiences here, and people have really responded to it. I've had people for whom English is really not a strong language ask me for copies of the script so they can revisit the lyrics to the songs, those kind of things. We've like, people have been very enthusiastic. We brought 40 copies of the cast album on vinyl and we sold it out in our first week here. People have really loved the show and loved the music and loved Grace. And so the feeling feels really exciting. And I will say, I think the kindest thing people have said to me after the show is that this is their second or third time seeing it in the festival.
Wow.
Which, to have like repeat audience members at a festival where there are 4,000 shows, what a huge compliment. That's been really, really lovely. Yeah, I mean, what a crazy thing, right? I started writing this music alone at my piano in quarantine, not knowing if we would ever be able to like sit like this and have a beer, let alone do theater. And now here we are. This music has like traveled so far and is now connecting with so many people. It's one of the most amazing things that's ever happened to me. And so I feel very, very, very lucky. Yeah.
Yeah. Is incredible.
Yeah.
And amazing that she's been a part of the show. When did she come on board in the process of writing and everything?
Grace came on board in 2021. We had done, Eva and I had done a workshop with the Orchard Project online, a Zoom workshop while everyone was still in quarantine. And then we wanted to do a concert of I'd finished a first draft of the score. We had not written any of the book scenes.
Right.
So I wanted to do a concert, and Grace had seen a musical that Eva and I made with Lightning Rod Special called The Appointment when we were off Broadway, and had reached out to the company saying how much she liked it and how if there was anything that came up that we were working on that she was right for, to let us know. And this was just such a great fit for her.
Yeah.
And so we kind of reached out thinking it was a moonshot, that she would be like, I'm busy, I can't. She got back to us right away. And so we've been working with her ever since then. And the three of us decided to co-write the book together a summer after that, when the Orchard Project invited us to do an in-person 2-week workshop in upstate New York, leading up to a couple of small concerts. And Grace is such an incredible writer in her own right. Like, her musical In the Green is incredible. And her songwriting is incredible. And so because at that point we knew it was going to be this solo musical, and it was like, if it's you doing it and you're such a great writer, why would we deny you the ability to collaborate on the sort of textual life of this character? And thank God, because I really feel like the dialogue feels like such an even blend of everything that I've given, Eva's given, and Grace has given. And people have often asked me how much of the show is written down and how much Grace is just improvising. And the answer is that it's all written down, but like, it just feels like her words. So yeah. Yeah, I often ask people to guess which ones I wrote before I knew she was going to do it and which ones I wrote after I knew she was going to do it, because I know.
Sure you do.
But yeah, 100%. Yeah, I really admire her respect of the fact that this was my songwriting, because she is an incredible songwriter. So she could very well have come in and be like, no, it should be like this and this and this. And she was like, she has like served the score I wrote so beautifully, and also every once in a while would have an incredible idea about how to restructure something, or stuff like that. So yeah, there's definitely songs that I wrote, but most of the songs I did right before I knew Grace was going to do it. And I think it's a testament to now knowing how suited we are as collaborators and friends, like how similar our languages are and aesthetics are, that it just feels like it all flows from her perspective.
Yeah, you can definitely tell. And I know there's been a handful of other productions with other actors in this role. Do you find like the show is vastly different?
Yeah, the thing I'm most proud of is like, the show is still the show, but the show feels very different with each new person doing it. And that kind of feels like the way it should be, because the show is just that actor. And the thing I've loved about working with Eva Steinmetz, the director, on the different productions with these different actors is that Eva's process of how she directs the show is completely different with each actor. Because she's like, I'm not going to have a set process to have a set way of doing this. I have to meet this person, just this person.
Yeah.
And I have to kind of bend the process of the play around their work process, which has been awesome too. But I've had the joy of seeing Tatiana Wexler, Jessica Phillips, Rachel Camp, just phenomenal. Alex Kuiper, who I just did it with at Sedona. And also there are all these other productions, because Concord acquired the show for licensing last year, that I've never seen, that I'm so fascinated. I really wish I could see them, and I can't wait.
It's just
I'm going to like buy a fake mustache and sneak into one at some point. But
that's incredible.
It's been really beautiful to see these other actors embody the play.
Do you feel like has the show like changed for this particular production, or has it been set from the recording?
No, we had to cut some stuff for this show because the runtime needs to be slimmer, and also certain things just didn't work in the context of this theater. There were things we usually do with longer instrumental music pieces, slightly different ending. It's just this space didn't hold it, and we learned very quickly that like trying to fight the context of this performance space was only going to be a detriment to us. We needed to embrace it and just
this is where you are.
Yeah. And you know, people have other 3 shows to get to after our show. So our show can't be 90 minutes long. It has to be 65 minutes long. Our show, I think, is actually like 72 minutes long. So we didn't cut that much, but it's sleeker, faster, and smaller, because we have a 3-piece band here and it's usually a 5-piece band.
Right.
So I reorchestrated it for cello, piano, and drum.
It also gives you a unique experience here.
Yeah.
You know, there are elements of this that are not a part of the productions that have been presented previously. And so you're seeing this version.
Yeah, totally.
And so they at least get to say that. And if they were lucky enough to get the vinyl.
Yeah. And you can stream it on Spotify and Apple Music.
Yeah. So this show, I mean, you know, you're doing a show every day, so you don't have to worry about that. But are there irons in the fire for what's next?
For me or for Penelope?
For you and for Penelope.
We're good. There's more life for this production of Penelope, which hopefully we'll be able to announce and talk about soon, which is very exciting. We're doing one day in London on September 4th. This theater has a theater in London, and they do sort of reprise productions of some of their Fringe shows there, which is awesome.
Right.
So there will be more Penelope, both in the States and hopefully beyond after that. And then, I'm working on a handful of other projects. I have an adaptation of the movie The Day Trippers from the 90s that is going into its first workshop at Theater La Cigale in Minneapolis in October, that I'm working on with the playwright Erin Ricciardi, and that's exciting. Grace and Eva and Grace's husband Christopher Grant and I are going into our first workshops of a new idea that hopefully we'll be able to talk about soon at Pig Iron in January. So that's awesome.
Yay.
And I have a handful of other personal musical theater writing projects that I'm cracking away at. So the big thing is just like carving out the time. But so there's more on the horizon for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, because you have all these things coming up and that they're in various states of development. Is there ever a moment where you're checking out of this? Because this is your art, your craft, but it's also work. You check out of this, and if so, what do you do?
You mean like, am I ever going to take a vacation?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll take a vacation.
I'm still an artist.
And in London, I'll take a couple of days in Amsterdam to be very sober. No, to look at art and hang out with some friends. Yeah. And then I have some downtime actually in November that I'm actually pretty excited about doing nothing.
Great.
Because it's been pretty intense summer. So I think I'm going to do a lot of like down.
Well, it's exciting. Penelope was one of those shows that if they didn't know us or where we came from, it was being recommended.
Oh, cool.
You know, it was one of those, we've just been hearing it all over the place. And you walk past and you see all the local acclaim that it's received on all of the signage that is around. And we're like, hey, those are our friends. Those are also our friends. It's great. Yeah. I know as we got here, I was saying like, I'm just going to plan it.
Yeah.
As it goes, because it's about timing and connecting with people. And so we were like, we got to jump on these tickets because we don't want to miss out on that. I'm so glad that we did because this is a highly sought after ticket here at the Fringe and everyone's resonating with it. We'll have to go see what all those reviews are about.
No.
And submit your own.
Have you had a second to see other pieces? Like, is there something you recommend?
Yeah, I mean, there's a contingent of people here from Philadelphia, and it's not just because they're my friends. They're all doing excellent work.
Yes.
Lee Minor's Baby Everything is excellent. Scott Shepard and Alice York's Lions from Lightning Rod Special is so moving and so brilliant. Sarab's a piece Foreigner at Summer Hall is one of the most daring and intense and incredible pieces I've seen in a long time. Langada's Van Gogh, which is excellent and very fun. I can't see Chris Davis's 40-Year-Old Ballerina because our times conflict. I can't see Michael Dougherty's Dogberry and Burgess because our times conflict.
So excellent.
Very annoying. I'm sure.
Yeah.
So those have been great. I also loved Evita 2.
We were recommended Evita 2.
Salty Brian's show is great. Yeah, there's a lot of great stuff. I'm seeing more next week. Yeah. They're trying to.
And so there's so much to do at Edinburgh. The festival is so consuming, but there's also a lot of places to visit. There's a lot of food to eat. Is there anything here in Edinburgh that you've had it and now you have to have it?
No, there's just great restaurants here.
Yeah.
I mean, there's to say nothing of the whiskey, which is excellent, but like Little Capo or Little Capo, I don't know how you say it, an amazing Italian restaurant that's a little ways north. Paz Taqueria, excellent. I have a list of, unfortunately, all the restaurants I have a list of are like very expensive. So I'm like trying not to go to too many too quickly. I'm going to spend my entire paycheck. But yeah, it's a great food town. But also just there's all these food trucks everywhere because the festival and all the food is pretty great. So
yeah. I know it feels like the city pulled out the stops so as to not want for anything.
Yeah.
But I do feel for the locals because we
do not like this.
We are trying their streets and their public transportation.
Yeah.
And I know they kind of have systems for how that works now, but like it's just overloaded because like you said, 3 times the population, for this month alone. But we're so glad that we were able to make Penelope part of our list of wonderful shows these are just going to be moments that we're just going to take with us. We're not going to forget this experience. It was just, the first track, Penelope, it's so powerful and it sets up the entire experience for us all. And we're just like, damn, if that's how we open the box, like it's just like, all right, I'm setting down. And then the next piece is a little bit more lighter in a sense where it's just like, okay, relax. You're all like, we're all like, we're here for Penelope. And now we're like, we're here for Penelope. We're having a great time. I just love the emotional roller coaster you send us on because we're just in all of our feels and we're just like, yeah, I can't imagine.
Yeah.
And so I want to know more about this journey. And at the same time, I would not envy her, for that time. And you're really just, it's always interesting in a piece where you can, on another layer, sort of think about yourself in this.
Yeah.
But you're still very much in tune in the work. And I imagine that there are many people in the audience who are doing that, saying like, this mention here makes me think there were a lot of moments like that. And I was just like, I love when a piece does that to me. It's just like, how am I going to stay in this? It's sort of like a test to be like, my brain needs to process this part while I'm taking this all in.
Yeah. Great.
There were just good moments like that, but so glad this is here, and I'm so glad an international audience gets to experience this. It's always great when we already know the buzz of it. We have never heard a negative thing about this production at all, and it was always great to hear that it was sold out everywhere. So like, okay, if we missed it, it's because we missed it with everybody else because it was sold out. But we got to see it here, and it was a very special.
The belly button and underbelly and the cow gate under the bridge with the trolls, with all the art trolls.
So much fun. But if you are still here, if you're watching us or one of the clips, you don't. There may be tickets available.
We have tickets for next week.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So yes, Penelope is here all through the 2026 Edinburgh Festival Fringe. Alex Bechtel, thank you.
Thank you so much
for taking the time. So glad that we were able to connect all the way over here. And I'm so excited about this. And I can only see great things in the future for this and for you. So continue what you're doing. You are an inspiration. I don't know if you know this. There are a lot of people saying very positive things about you. It's just connect to so many people who are like, wow, this idea came from, arguably nothing. It became this big thing. And because of timing, it now has the opportunity to reach more people.
Yeah.
And so that's really great. And so see Penelope. And if you're not here, just scour the internet for the next opportunity to experience Penelope. Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go. That's it. So again, Alex Bechtel, thank you for taking the time. This was truly a pleasure. And we continue our coverage in Edinburgh for the Edinburgh Festival Fringe.